Hello, it is still the 3rd of January 2022 and I am continuing to read in BLISS Afterlife, a story I wrote between 2006 and the end of 2016. I called it Book 1, and it is a story about a reincarnation and about Bliss, who passed away a few years ago at 95. Chapter 71. David. David had gone back to the small flat that they had been renting. He was in the process of buying a house but had not decided where yet. His daughter was new in England and enjoyed getting to know London. Meeting Susan had him so flabbergasted, and he had this sharp feeling of excitement in this pit of his stomach. He had forgotten this feeling, and he had a job holding it in, as he did not intend to tell Maisie, his daughter, anything about this meeting. He was glad she was out. She was a photographer and had gained a good reputation in Melbourne, but had been keen to get to know England. She had separated from her last boyfriend and was single, footloose and fancy-free, as she told him yesterday. He had been glad that she'd decided, quite spontaneously, to come with him to England. After the breakup with that boyfriend, she had come to live with him a few months ago, and they had got on very well. Now they do. Always had, really, but there had been a few issues in her late teens, which she could now smile about, but at the time he and Margaret found themselves arguing a lot about their children, ideas, and their philosophies, which turned out to be quite different. Margaret had been brought up very strictly Catholic. David had had a very liberal childhood, grew up in the 60s, and his parents had totally embraced the new way of hippiedom. He went to Australia in search of adventure, and Margaret, falling pregnant with Trudy, had not been on the cards, for him particularly. But once he knew that the die was cast, he would not contemplate leaving her, and when Maisie was born 7 years later, there was even less of a chance. He had joined the rat race, as he used to call it frequently, and frustratedly. He had done quite well, had run his own building company for quite some time. He passed the company to his son-in-law, but kept on as a silent partner. Trudy, his daughter, worked part-time in the office, and for some time he helped whenever necessary. He had had little contact with his sister, only occasionally spoke to her, as she lived on the other side of the country, and they had never been that close. He finally felt he could come back to England. For some time he had contemplated it, but had not made any fixed plans. But he felt like settling back here and experience his home country, never having intended to actually stay away for so many years. It was his birthday just after Christmas, and he would love to take Susan out. It seemed that Susan had a full house over the festive period, lots going on in her life, and she seemed as interesting to him as she did when they used to join each other in the garage making music. He remembered Steve well. He had heard that he was making a bit of a comeback, and had only last week heard his latest record, which already then had set his memories in action. How strange that he should bump into Susan today. Well, maybe not strange. He was always the one who said that there was no such thing as coincidence. He felt just like sitting down to process it all. These feelings almost exhausted him, and he put the kettle on to sit down and contemplate. That was chapter 71.